A cafe conversation. A cafe conversation. It's a cafe conversation. In the ladies' room. 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 A cafe conversation. In the ladies' room.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to Cafe Conversations with the ladies' room. How y'all doing tonight?
I'm bugging out right now. That
Why?
voice sounds real bedroom like.
You just shut
You don't want us to be like that.
me down. I was trying to be better.
Not at all. It's nothing like that at all. At all.
I'm just checking. I'm just checking.
You know, it's nice outside. The sun is out, and I am just a little bit laid back today.
Okay.
Just a little bit laid back today.
Can I just let you know that I'm not.
She said, not.
So
Let's
let's
go. Oh, well, welcome to all of you in the cafe. Hello to everybody out there. Thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, we have a great show for you as usual. We have one of our lovely ladies back in the cafe with us, Carlotta. Welcome, welcome again. You know, you're becoming a regular in the cafe and stuff. It's like every Thursday night, like we go, we going here.
Carlotta.
Right.
Yeah, she will be here.
Awesome, awesome. And I hope everyone is doing well. I heard, New York City had some stuff going on since last time we met. We had floods and stuff was up to people's needs and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and
All
everything.
places in the train station.
Mm,
I did.
yeah, and,
Okay, stuff is going on. Yeah.
yeah, my daughter was in there. She said, she had to swim through it. Good thing she like 5'5" and whatnot. It was just up to her knee, but I'm just saying, you know.
To walk through that
Yeah, and the streets were flooded, and she said it was nasty, so she glad she didn't have on her good clothes. I said, oh, okay, girl. Okay.
That's what I would have been saying. I would have been saying
This is
something.
why
My
they made
shoes.
washing
My
machines.
shoes.
Okay,
You can watch your clothes.
that's what I'm saying. No, but I understand. I get what she's saying because I do have certain items of clothing that I put on, and it's kind of like, no, don't hug me, don't touch me, don't, because I don't want you to mess it up.
Oh no.
Like today, because these ladies usually are casual.
Are we? Are we?
Y'all
We
like
casual today?
Yeah,
casual.
Oh yeah.
I look casual.
casual, girl.
You got pearls on for casual.
See the one down there looking kind of.
This is my. I mean,
What's
that's
pearls on for casual?
See, what happened is, right? She said casual. So I was like, okay, I'll do casual. But I want to, I don't want, draw attention to my
Oh.
area. So I was like, oh, I'll put some pearls on. Now, I'm still proud of it.
you look beautiful.
You look
That's all that matters.
Try.
What's wrong with your area?
What do you mean?
Girl.
They are who they are.
They're there, and everybody's always not everybody. Let me take that. Men only look.
Girl, they
That's because they're men.
okay.
There you go. That's because they're men, and we have to just accept them for who they are.
Amen.
You know,
Amen.
we have.
Oh,
Thank you.
That's so
Sexy,
I appreciate that.
Sexy.
Because I'm not feeling it today, but that's okay.
This is
Thank
why we're
you.
here.
I appreciate it.
This is why we're here.
I
Sharice,
absolutely
you are looking
appreciate
beautiful.
it.
My braids look fresh. I'm about to get them redone for vacation.
Really, but they still
Oh.
look fresh.
That's right. Somebody got a birthday coming,
My
y'all.
birthday.
Yes, I'm shouting her on. Her birthday is next week.
I'm a
Okay.
all day.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So where's birthday celebration taking place at?
Girl, I was. surprised with a vacation to Antigua.
Ooh.
What?
2 claps for
Auntie.
hubby.
Better go.
Okay.
To everything.
I know. I said 2 claps and I clapped 4 times. That means I was
No,
giving
yeah.
him big ups because
Yeah.
I
I'm only
clapped 4
going,
times.
for 4 days.
That's
three nights,
okay.
4 days.
There's no such
It
thing as
don't
only
matter.
4 days in
But
Antigua.
I will be there on my birthday, which is the consensus,
Yeah, well, that's the part.
That's the part.
There you go.
That's the whole part.
And
I
he
need-
talking
I need
about,
that guy.
and don't be packing no whole lot of stuff.
What?
I said,
I'm
well,
a
you
woman.
better just pack something nice for the birthday, so we could go.
But
Nice.
So we could look.
We're women. We pack.
Yeah, but I'm learning. I'm learning to not do all of
Well,
that.
you know what?
To not do all
when
of
you
that.
when you have to get on the plane and they want to charge you $62 for a bag, I mean, you might.
And this
wanna-
is why I have a carry-on
But that's what I'm.
and a really
planning
big
to-
pocketbook.
Yeah.
Because whatever doesn't fit in my carry-on will go
Will
in
go
my
in the
really big
pocketbook.
pocketbook.
I have never ever boarded a plane with just a carry-on, but I'm gonna try this time.
Delta lets you take 3 carry-ons.
3.
3
Per
You take
person?
a small suitcase per person. Small suitcase, which I always take.
And 2 bags.
And 2 bags. I have my bag, this one on the floor, where it has my computer, all my books
Yeah.
and stuff, and then my toiletries. And my makeup.
That's why
Okay.
I'm doing the braid thing because the hair. I need products and.
I gotta have
Yeah.
it.
I mean, you might have to buy it over there.
No, not with this.
No, you have.
I'm
you
good.
Go, no, no, no.
Oh, you said you
go
need
to
products
the,
and
you
stuff.
go to the dollar store or Rite Aid, and they have the little place where you can get all the
The 3-ounce
travels,
bottles.
travels,
You
Yeah.
get that little 3-ounce bottles. My daughter said it's 6 ounces, by the way.
It is 6.
And you get the 6-ounce bottle, and you put all your. I got a whole
Mm-hmm.
I got a whole separate travel bag
Just for that.
just for that.
Just
a
for
lot of,
that.
a lot of we ain't doing
Okay.
it this time.
Why?
Mm.
I'm learning how
She
to
said I'm
travel
learning.
light.
Um,
I do it when we ride the motorcycle and we go away.
it's your
I can't
husband, he's
travel a
military,
lot.
that's
My
why.
husband's military.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mhm. And he think you can wear stuff over and over and over,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'd be like, stop.
No, can't do it.
Well, I
No.
think men do
But
that
you're going to
anyway.
Antigua, so
but-
you don't really need a lot, except for your
Oh,
birthday.
you're trying
celebration.
my birthday suit.
So you should be.
Just my birthday suit.
Well, okay. And on that note, we're going to
That's
change
not
the
what I
subject.
meant.
We're
That's
going to
not
get this show started.
we gonna get the
That
show
is-
How about
started.
that?
Okay, enough about my birthday.
All right.
Thank you, thank
So-
that is not what I meant.
you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Woo. Today, we have quite an interesting conversation, one that actually involves all of us. And if it has not involved you, it could possibly involve you, and hopefully it never will. Hopefully it never will. Today, we're going to talk about, is there systemic injustice in child welfare? Okay? I can't believe or begin to tell you some of the things that we've gone through
In just the last 2 days.
In the
2
last
days.
for
Last
me, it's
2
been
days.
almost a week now.
I can imagine.
Since,
And we definitely want to talk about this issue because it is one that's affecting our families, is affecting our communities, is affecting more so our children, because those are the ones who have to, and not to say the parents don't have to endure pain of separation, but when the children are stripped from you,
That's
from
right.
your home,
That's right.
from your arms, okay, there's no one there really to comfort them like their parents could
right.
comfort them.
That's
So
right.
tonight we're actually going to talk about how the welfare system, the cracks in the welfare system, our children are falling through those cracks. And as a result, we're losing our babies.
Yes, we are.
We're losing our babies. We're losing our children.
Yes.
Children are dying in the custody of foster care. You know,
Forced the
the-
parents.
yes,
Yes.
you
Foster
know,
parents,
they're
yeah.
they're becoming sick because they're not being cared for the way their parents would care for them. And
right, that's right.
my heart particularly goes out to those children who are special needs
Yes,
and
absolutely.
are in, foster care and not getting the care that they need. So we're going to have a really in-depth conversation about if, the injustice of having children removed and going into the system that's broken,
That's right.
you know?
Right.
But before we start that, I want to have Samantha, give us a little bit of her current events because we got to remain current.
Yes.
And then we're going to open up the floor for
For this,
conversation.
this hot topic, right?
There it is.
Well,
I know.
I'm just gonna do one little current event, and it's to big up our National Spelling Bee winner,
Yes.
Zayla Avant Grande.
Yes.
Garde. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
She not only did she win the spelling bee, but she holds 3 Guinness World Records.
Yes.
Nice.
you know that?
No.
She
I saw
can,
her on Instagram, but I didn't know.
yeah, she does something with multiple basketballs where she can bounce the basketballs all at the same time and do all these kind of
Get
tricks.
it,
I saw
girl.
her do it on Good Morning America. I think it was, yeah. But she's been on several other shows.
Okay.
But she holds Guinness.
Wow.
Isn't that so special?
See, I had heard that basketball
how
was her first
talented
love,
our
though.
babies are?
Even when she won the spelling bee, she did say that sports was her
Was her
first
favorite.
love.
and
That's
she
her
does
heart.
want to pursue
Yeah.
the women, the WNBA. She
WNBA,
wants to
great.
possibly be a coach.
Good for her.
And
Nice.
she is the first African American to win the Scripps National Spelling Bee.
Whoop whoop to her. What is her name?
Yes.
Zayla Avant Garde.
Zayla. Big ups to you. We are shouting
Zayla.
you out today. Okay.
We love her.
Yes, we are shouting you out today. Congratulations on your win, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Now, I want to say one thing about how she even won the spelling bee because she didn't, practice this from not birth, but, from childhood because she's 14 or 13, I think.
Okay.
Wow.
So it was only 2 years ago where she started to study.
Hmm.
And she studies for like 7 hours a day
She's
prior to
she's
winning. She
dedicated.
studied.
She's dedicated.
And
I love her.
let me just see her daily study sessions. Yeah, we're only like 2 years ago, and she has 7. She does 7 long hours reviewing nearly 13,000 words a day.
Nice.
She's
Nice.
That's incredible.
well.
It is because
Because I don't even want to speak
dedicated.
13,000 words a day.
yeah.
Oh, maybe I
yeah.
do.
I think I
but
read 13,000 words a
do
day.
you?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I'm always reading and writing because I write every day.
Mhm.
So and then
I
I read.
do too, but
How
I
do
don't
you
know.
even count if you read 13
I know.
words a
Well,
day? Like,
now-
like seriously, now you have to sit there and be like,
I'm
so
done.
at one,
No.
the
Well,
two.
you know, computers count this for you.
The
The computers do it for
The
you.
computer counts.
Like-
That's how I know.
Yes.
That's how I know that I typed 13,000
many.
words.
Yeah.
Because between yesterday and today, I didn't do too much today. I was kind of off today. But yesterday, I typed about maybe 23,000 words.
Wow.
I got a migraine even thinking about counting.
Yeah.
Counting.
Look,
how
I
many
gotta
words
study
speak
for a
day.
test I need to take,
There
and
you
I
go.
only want to study 2 hours a day. She
There you
studies
go.
7.
I hear
So-
you.
Wow.
But
Well,
anyway, big ups to her, and that was my
I'm
little current event that I wanted to share with
That was
everybody.
nice.
That was just cute. I
Absolutely.
just
was
think
so
she
cute.
deserves that. Hmm.
Yes.
So we're gonna get into our juicy conversation here
Yes.
Yes.
and stuff. And if we haven't greeted you into the cafe as of
Aw.
yet, welcome, welcome,
Oh, I
welcome.
didn't
We're
see
glad
that.
we're glad you joined us today.
And that is Sharice
oh,
that's talking, and I am Samantha, aka Juicy, that gave you those current events.
Miss
And this
Juicy.
is our guest, Carlotta.
Colorado
Yes.
Don't get me started.
and stuff. So,
Ain't got no service.
a little background information. The child welfare legal system was originally put into place in order to identify children who had been abused or severely neglected by their parents or caretakers, remove those children at risk of further abuse or neglect, and place them in protective custody, or terminate parental rights and place the child with adoptive parents, and bring perpetrators of child abuse and criminal neglect before the bar of justice. However, due to an overwhelming number of cases, insufficient and poorly trained staff, and the complexities of diversity insensitivities, some abused and neglected children are being left in dangerous homes. Okay?
I don't even know where to begin, but I'm going to begin with this. The moment that someone else begins to decide how who should be in your home, how you should run your home, how you should discipline your children. And again, there is a big difference between discipline and abuse.
That's correct.
Okay? And there are different forms of discipline, you know, which don't necessarily equate abuse.
Right.
But the moment someone else starts to decide what happens in your house, you lose all control.
That's correct.
You lose your autonomy, you know. And when they start deciding for you how to handle your children, that's now an issue. But an even bigger issue is the issue of when the parents that are supposed to be the primary protector of that child is the person that's making the environment that child in unsafe. Is a totally different story. And today, that's the aspect that we want to focus on, are the children who are stuck in these homes, whether it's their biological parents, adoptive parents, or foster parents. But they're in these homes, they're being hurt, and they're in this system that does not believe them when they say, I'm being hurt. You know, they do not take their side. They continuously send them back to those that are hurting them.
Because they say that they're investigating and they're really not.
But the investigation
It's very
If
minimal.
a child says, "Hey, I'm being hurt," immediately the thought is, "Oh well, let's get the kid out of the home." If they're being hurt, if they're saying they're being hurt, but their investigation is, "Oh, let's go to the house first and investigate." They might just be getting a spanking. Maybe they don't like the discipline, so on and so forth. But you know the difference between a child saying, "Oh, I'm being beat at home," opposed to discipline. The parent discipline, because once you go to the home, you talk to the parent, so on and so forth. But if the child has visible
marks and
Marks and
bruises
bruises,
and injuries,
then I say
absolutely.
something's wrong. The child needs to be removed from the home,
Absolutely.
regardless of what anybody says. We don't want to take people's children from them, but we want our kids to be safe. We don't want them to die
That's just like
and be beat up because, you don't believe them.
once someone says they're sexually abused, normally that perpetrator, whether he did it or not, is arrested.
That's right. Absolutely.
But yet you have children who say, I'm burned, they burned me, or they slapped me, or they beat me, or they punched me in my face and black and white. They don't remove them, and
No.
they don't go get anybody, and they don't do anything.
Absolutely.
And I'm just looking for an opinion here. Why do you think that is? Why is there a delay in the system? Where's the breakdown, do you think, in the system that puts us in a position to have those kids, sent back to those homes and have to endure it? I mean, first of all, the thought and the idea of having to put a child back in a home where they're being abused, the mental trauma that they're going through, knowing that, I'm being abused. I was told to come to so-and-so for help. Okay? I went to so-and-so for help, and so-and-so called the police, and then the police said, "Oh, well, you're the problem because we spoke to your parents. Your parents said that you don't mind them and you don't listen and you ran away and stuff. So you're the problem." And I guess my question is, why is it that we're not asking the question of why this child keeps trying to get away? Because happy children don't want to leave home. Happy children don't want to leave home. So unhappy children
hurt children, abused children, neglected children who are trying to get out of a bad situation, but are caught up in this plethora of, you know, bureaucracy.
Right.
Let's put it like that. Plethora of bureaucracy, you know, and stuck in this system that really is not focusing on their needs. You know, and I get it. There are a lot of other factors that are at play because, and we'll get into that.
Yes.
You know, those other factors. But what do we do? You know, what can we do?
Well, I have an opinion about the fact that just like the way police handle things, why do they handle them that way? And what? Well, they need more training. That's one of the
Absolutely.
issues.
Absolutely.
So I say in this system of child
Yeah, well,
welfare,
mhm.
they need more training. I don't think the people handling cases are trained very well. I think they're placed in these positions and they have really no degree. Some of them have care for people that are not of them. You know, those are not my kids, so you know, I care about them, but I don't really care about them,
Right,
type of
right,
thing. You know,
right.
is their attitude about some things, and they want to
Right.
go by the book because they were told what book to, you know, study or go by, and so they can do their job well.
Right.
And unfortunately, children don't come with books. We don't. We're not given books to raise. They fixed it. We're not given books on how to raise children. So you have to care about children. You have to want them, and you have to love them. And those criteria are missing
It's
in
the
some
truth.
places.
This is the truth. Absolutely. There's a lot of factors when it comes to dealing with the administration of children and youth, child protective services. Yes, we want them to be trained, but when you have, and I'm going to speak it, I'm going to say it, it might not sound good to some people. I'm going to apologize if it don't feel good to you, but I'm not apologizing for me. So we have a lot of, and I didn't get my statistics, but the majority of the children that are in foster care, being adopted, they're in any kind of system, is brown-skinned children. And when you have an administration that is predominantly Caucasian, and the children you're dealing with don't look like you, they don't understand you. They're coming from an environment that is not conducive to how they deal with you as an administrator. So they're not trying to hear what you're saying, and it's not because they're trying to be defiant on purpose, but because they're not being treated well. And when you're not treated well, you don't act accordingly.
So you're
What
saying
do you expect from them?
there's a lack of cultural sensitivity,
Right, correct.
you know, and cultural awareness, because the
Correct.
truth is all children are not the same, all
That's right.
cultures are not the same,
That's
and
correct.
you can't very well just take them from their home where they've been raised a certain way and dump them in somebody else's house and say, give them a meal, give them a bath, give them
Right.
something to eat. That's all you got to do until we
Right,
come back
right,
for
right.
them.
Correct.
You know, there's a lot more. You and I had a conversation earlier of a family, you know, a situation
Right.
that had this sort of circumstance.
Correct.
Could you tell us a little bit about?
Well, I'm going to share her. She's supposed to be on with us, but I guess something's happening. But her name is Saisha Mikado, and her husband's name is Tyron Brenner. And so they live in Florida, in Sarasota, Florida. Saisha happens to be an American Idol contestant.
Okay.
And so she had a baby. They had a baby together. The baby was being nursed, and she was weaning the baby. He was a year old. He's a year. He's still a year. He's going to be 2 soon. And the baby was not doing well with weaning. And he was having reactions, so she took him to the ER for help. She went to the ER to get help to how to deal with her baby. And what happened was, they decided that the baby needed a B12 shot. And she said, okay, well, let's wait till my husband, the father of the child, gets here, and then we'll go from there. But they chose to go a step further and call Child Protective Services, get a doctor that is known and notorious for saying that children are abused. It's a known fact. I don't have her name with me right now, and I should have. I didn't have time. But it's a known fact that she does this on a regular basis in this hospital. It's John something hospital. I'll get it for you in a minute. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up. I have it here right now. And so she's fighting to get her child back.
So I lost you. She went to the emergency room for what reason? What was wrong with the baby? The baby could not
was
wean from the
crying
breast?
because he was just crying a lot. And what it was is that she was weaning, but he wasn't eating. And so it was, it was making her nervous. She was like, okay, something's not right. I need to go and find out. And so she went and I don't know if she went to the ER or if she went to just a regular doctor or whatever. But what I know is his name is Eamon Ra. He's 13 months old. He's in the custody of Manatee County Protective Services in Florida.
Now, what was the suggestion of care that she wanted to
She
wait for her
brought-
husband for?
Because they wanted to give him a B12 shot.
Oh, a B12. I
Right.
didn't hear that.
They were
I'm
saying
sorry.
that he needed a B12 shot. She brought
Okay.
him to the hospital in the emergency room on March 11th. Because she was breastfeeding and found out that she was pregnant and that her milk supply wasn't doing well. This is the story. And so her son was refusing to take the breast. He
Okay.
wouldn't take the fluids and he wouldn't take the breast, so she was having issues. Was having a hard time transitioning, and instead of educating herself and her family, she decided to go to the ER. And she was told that and given accusations that she was neglecting her son, that he was malnutritioned. Now, I'm going to say this, I'm a mother of 7 and I nursed every one of my children. And it is a known fact that children that are nursed don't gain weight quickly. I don't care what nobody says. I had a premature child. She was being nursed from the time that she was born. She was getting my breast, and she was not gaining the weight as she should. She gained a little bit, enough to come home, but when she came home, she didn't gain a lot. And I had to supplement to help her to do that for myself. Now, the mother is a vegan. So when you're eating vegan, it's different.
Your milk, your consistency is
Right,
different.
it's different.
Absolutely.
And so that's the problem that she was having. And so to tell a young mother that you're going to take her child from her because she
You're
needs
claiming-
a B12 shot, does that make sense?
No, I mean, what's even more sad
B12
is,
shot.
what's even more sad is that the child was having an issue as it was. So now you're going to take him and give him to someone who has no clue about
Knows
him.
nothing about him.
And
she takes him to the ER.
And I do feel and believe that in itself is an issue, because for you to take the child and go, well, you're not doing a good job with the baby, we're going to give it to someone else and stuff. Well, that woman or that family you gave him to, whether it's woman or male,
It doesn't matter.
I mean, they can't
don't
breastfeed
know.
the baby.
They don't know. They don't know what to
Right,
do.
exactly.
Now they took the baby to the hospital last night at 2 a.m. in the morning because the baby wouldn't stop crying. So you traumatizing the child even more, and the mother even more, because you called the mother
And he's
told her to
hungry.
come. He's hungry.
And
not
he's
eating.
hungry.
So you called the mama to meet you there. She's telling you what to do, and then you get angry with her because she's giving you the advice of what you should do with her baby. Why did you bring her there? What was the purpose?
Right.
You're supposed to be helping her. And then you tell her, you traumatize her even more and victimize her even more by telling her, this is the foster parent, oh, he's crying like that because he needs more of you. Well, of course.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, of course. But I can't do that because you have him. And then on top of that, he's with someone that don't look like him. I mean, like, what do you expect from him? He needs his
He's
mother.
right, and at a year old, they're experiencing
can't
strange
touch him.
anxiety,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
you know their separation anxiety. Like there's
Yes.
a
What do
there's
you
a whole range of there's a whole range of growth that happens at that age.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna, and I don't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna say this real quick. When the military men, soldiers, men and women go overseas, before they leave, they have to be debriefed.
Mm-hmm.
When they come back, they cannot see their family members right away. It takes 2-3 months for them to be weaned back into society, right?
Right.
Because they were in an environment that wasn't conducive to what they
they're about to be
did
back
every
into.
day.
Mhm,
Exactly.
right.
So they're no longer soldiers. Now they're becoming civilians again. They have to
Lean into it.
interact. So it's the same thing with a baby. If you got a baby that has been with the mom all this time, 13 months of his life, he's been here, mommy, 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 and then you snatch him away. And then you expect him to act correctly. So when these soldiers are pulled from this environment to that environment, they go through some stuff. So when they come back, the reason why they put him in that environment so that they can slowly get back into being a civilian.
Yeah,
It's not
a sense of
easy.
normalcy.
Right. So the normalcy comes for them. Same thing with a child. What do you expect him to do?
Yeah.
He's in a
Yeah.
strange environment.
I'm curious, without having to, call names or anything like that. What was the response, or what is the response from Child and Youth Services? Because they are the ones that made the decision to
take
move
the
this
child.
child.
That's right.
You know what I'm
That's right.
saying, and put him in another home. What is the response to her when she's now saying, hey, listen, my son is not doing well with someone else. There's no real legitimate reason for removing him from me or taking him from me. What's the interaction like?
Well, they, in my opinion, falsified the legitimacy by saying he was malnutrition.
Yeah.
Right.
And
They had to
and
because
needed a
it went
B12 shot or
from-
whatever because
right.
they have to document their reasoning.
Right,
You just
right.
can't take a baby because she brought him to the emergency room and he's not
And he's
eating.
not
So
eating.
they obviously
put something
documented,
together. Yes.
something that
And
they
I would love for them to be on here so they can tell their portion of the story, and what was going on, because I just can't see. I'm trying to find it now. It's all of a sudden wants to kick me out. I'm trying to understand why for a B12 shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now
Well, it was
you go from so
malnourishment
now
too
you
that they
start-
claimed,
yeah,
but
that's
I
what
don't
they're
think he was
claiming.
malnourished. I don't know the story, but
they went from B12
to malnourished, right?
and that's what
And
she,
that's a
what she
big
shared with
range.
me. So you can't take him out for the B12 shot, but you sure can take him out for being malnourished.
Right.
But we all know that most children that are breastfed are low in weight. They're not malnourished. They're just low in weight because they're not. The parent is not. If her supply is not going well, if her supply is not giving as it should, and then she's got a supplement. Think about it. He's only 13 months old.
There's also a difference in the makeup of the supplement.
Correct.
There's a difference in breast milk than Infamil or
Yes.
Similac
difference.
and Carnation and all like that.
Correct.
So the amount of fat and whatever else they put in it, okay, the amount of that stuff in those chemically processed nourishments
Right.
is different than what's in breast milk.
That's
Right.
So ultimately you're going to see a difference in the kids.
Right.
And then once they get to the point where they are coming off of formula and they're going on to milk, cow's milk, well, cow's milk is high in fat. So
Absolutely.
yeah, there's no wonder that our kids are growing up,
Getting
and
bigger and
Oh, yeah.
bigger.
Oh, yeah.
and and then
yeah.
the antibiotics and now
Chemicals
we want
that are put into the cow.
everything
Exactly,
right that's
exactly.
going into the cow that
Right.
we're ingesting and
Right.
now taking into our body. It all really makes a difference.
It does.
Big
Right.
It makes a big difference.
yes.
But I just want to share just a little bit of information with you guys in the cafe, that there were 423,997 children in care, in foster care in 2019. Okay? 41% of whom were under the age of 6.
Ooh.
My
These
God.
these children spend an average of 19.6 months. 19.6 months. That's almost 2 years. That's almost 2 years.
That's crazy.
Okay, 19.6 months in foster care, with 14% spending more than 3 years in the system. Children of color, particularly black and American Indian, Alaska Native children are dramatically overrepresented in the child welfare system. Of every 1,000 white children in the United States, 5.2 are in foster care, compared with 9.9 of every 1,000 black children and 16.9 of every 1,000 American Indian, Alaska Native American children.
Wow.
So I have a question. And I have a question for you guys. What's wrong with this picture? And I know I'm noticing that there's a distinct,
Disproportionate amount
yes,
our kids.
of our kids. And why? Why is it that there are so many children of color in the system? And I have an idea. Why it
We
is.
all do. We have an idea. My thing is, why are we not treated fairly in the system? Why are we mistreated in the system? Why are we put in homes that are not good for our kids?
Yeah.
Why are we?
I don't understand why you would.
Why are
put-
those homes not investigated
Right.
properly so that our
Right.
kids are being abused and neglected and mistreated?
Or why are the investigations different? Or the outcomes different? And one of the
Tell me
studies,
why. Tell me a difference.
one of the studies that I did come across in doing research about this was that there's a higher incidence of families of color who have their children taken away
Yes.
and not returned
Yes.
than there are
Yes.
Caucasian families.
Absolutely.
And one of the major differences was the fact that those Caucasian families were in higher income brackets. The education
that
level,
were given their kids back.
right, that were given, the outcomes of their investigations led to inconclusive,
Right.
and their children were returned to them in a shorter
talk
amount
about
of
it.
time.
She just said
Okay,
that to me.
a shorter amount of time
She just said
than
that.
those families of color who might have been lower on the income scale in a different neighborhood. Okay,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
circumstances, being equal. It was more likely that the children of the Caucasian family was returned to
Returned,
them,
and that's
but
what
the
she
children
said.
of color remained in the
still in the
system,
system.
if not for an extended period of time,
But
until they were
indefinitely.
18.
And indefinitely.
Yep.
That's bad business.
I have a question
That's bad
too
business.
about the fact that if the non-African American kids are returned home because inconclusive studies on the family and the incomes are higher and the neighborhoods are better,
Right.
how are our children being given straight out of the system to families who may not be like us, or even if they are, but don't have high income?
Because those are the ones who are being chosen to be foster parents.
Right.
The low income people
And
are
it's-
choosing
No.
foster kids.
No. well, some
Yes. When
some
it comes
low
to
income
Caucasian-
families,
when it comes
yes,
to
because that's the
Caucasian
source of
homes.
income. They get
Yeah.
paid for,
I
Every
understand
child
that.
comes in their home.
I understand that.
you know.
But if you investigate a family of a child who was removed, and they have low income, and they have a poor neighborhood, and they have poor living conditions and things like that, which is why now I'm removing the child, right? I mean, it could be a number of reasons,
Right.
but those could be some
I hear
reasons.
where she's going.
Why
How do
ta-
you get placed in a family
With
with the same criteria of why
same-
you took that baby?
That's nonsense.
I mean, I'm not, excluding the
Yeah.
abuse, excluding any type of,
Right. No, but I
abuse
get
or
what you're
anything,
saying because
but
so I'm taking you from one environment that you say you're taking me from because my parents can't afford, they're poor, and then you put me in another household of someone that is not of my race, and they're just as poor as my parents,
right.
and you put me in there, and you
Or
take me
even
out
if they
because
are
they're poor.
same race,
Right.
it's happened
It
where
does
they
the
are
same
same
thing.
race
Exactly.
too.
So it doesn't make sense.
The system has these
it's unbalanced.
bylaws a little twisted.
It's very unbalanced. Very, very unbalanced. I'm still. I want to say this. I spoke to Saisha this today, and she talked about how, like what you said. I want to reiterate and go back there. How the doctor, the physician, Sally Smith, that's her name, who was the one that, yep, I'm putting you on blast, lady, who was the one that said that the child was being abused. And so, in doing that, it is a known fact that she's been doing this for many, many years, and that white families, Caucasian families, have been the butt of of what she's doing, but they have gotten their babies back immediately.
When she's been proven
Like
wrong.
what you said, when she's been proven wrong, and she said, "Oh, I made a mistake." She's in the court now, and and there's stories of it, there's videos of it. "Oh, I made a mistake. This wasn't but I do know when a child is being abused, blah 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 blah." So now, okay, so it's a Caucasian family, but now when you come to a African American family, a melanated family, then it's a whole different story. No, the child's being abused, absolutely, positively being abused. And I'm going to go back to Amen Ra. I'm going to keep there. I'm going to stay there because we got to do something. This can't stay. When you go onto this family's website, you go onto their Instagram, you go on, they don't have a Facebook, but they have Instagram. The pictures, the videos that they post of their interaction with Amen Ra does not give me a suggestion that there is something wrong going, there's abuse going on in this house. Where did you get that from? So and back to the fact that you say he's malnutrition, but it's a known fact. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I ain't wrong, because I'm a mother of 7 and 5 grandchildren, and I force my daughters to nurse their children, and I know that one of my grandsons, my grandson was he was low in weight. Did they take him from her? No. We did some interventions. We did what we needed to do, and that's what the hospital should have done.
I'm
with
curious.
Amen Ra and
I'm
his mother.
curious as to what they considered low in weight,
My daughter was
because
low in weight.
a lot of babies are born at 5 pounds.
Oh yeah.
4 or 5
My daughter
pounds,
was
sometimes
born 4
6.
pounds.
My
4
sister,
pounds she
listen
was
to me.
born.
My
Okay?
sister was never heavy. Still to this day, she's not.
Right.
She was about 28 pounds in the first grade.
Wow.
My sister was so tiny. A lot of hair. But she was very
tiny.
small, and she really did not eat well. She didn't. She didn't like this. She didn't like that. She didn't
Right.
like this. She didn't,
Right.
so my mother had to, sit her at the table for hours if she could.
To try
But
to get it to eat.
no one, thankfully, reported her
Nobody
being
reported it.
malnourished because she was happy. She
was
wasn't.
a good kid.
She
And
was a good kid.
and
She
they-
learned. She was
same
smart
thing
in
with this
school,
family.
whatever, and
Same
had no
thing.
issues. But imagine if someone would have said she was malnourished, which that sounds malnourished.
Oh yeah.
And
They could have.
I didn't eat her food. I'm just saying.
I'm not.
But
Why should you say that?
but she did not like to eat.
Right.
And
Right.
it was
I
It
had
was
2
terrible.
children that were third oldest child. When I joined the United States Armed Forces, my mom died, and I had to leave her with a family member, with someone from my mother. When I came back and I got her, she was very low in weight. And I took her to the doctor, and the doctor said to me, he said, Carlotta, she's very, her weight is real low. He's like, and I'm inclined to, maybe, do something. I'm like, well, what are you inclined to do? He said, I might have to call, Child Protective Services. Why would you do that? I just got her back. I just got her back. He's like, but I'm not calling on you. I'm calling on them. He said, because why is she like that? So you had my child for over 9 months. You gave her back to me. And then you have the nerve to take me to court, to take my kids from me. And my baby is low in
It's
weight.
It's worse with the person that they're with.
With you.
But
So
that's
you see the
contradiction.
Discrepancy, the
it's just
contradiction.
I mean,
craziness.
so that's the argument that we're making and need to figure out how we can change the system. Because
You put 'em
truth of
on
the matter is,
blast.
and I want to kind of give you this. It says the child welfare system response is designed as a temporary resource for troubled families. The child welfare system was never intended to provide the comprehensive range of social services that are demanded as of today,
Right.
which is totally
Right.
true. Because even though they place them in the home, they're not dealing with their mental health. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they're not even dealing with their physical health. They take them to the doctor's appointments, but
That's it.
So with all these times changing,
know?
they
I-
didn't
I-
change the
I-
system yet?
well,
Now listen. and
let's
I- oh, no, go
hold
ahead,
on.
go ahead.
Let me finish. As increasing numbers of child welfare agencies have failed to meet the needs of the populations they serve, there's a growing recognition that the child welfare system, alone cannot provide all of the services needed by the families and the children who come into it. Poverty and an array of social problems, as well as difficulties inherent in public child welfare systems, have made it difficult to provide services to an increasingly diverse and troubled population. Many factors, both internal and external, demographic and structural, contribute to the wide scope of the crisis of a system with diminishing resources and increasing responsibilities. Substance abuse, inadequate housing, health needs, parental incarceration, and racial discrimination are just some of the issues that challenge the capacity of the child welfare system and its staff to provide adequate services to the families and children it serves. That being said, okay, we're always going to be in this tornado of confusion,
Right.
you know, because they're never, if indeed and in fact, okay, the welfare system is overburdened, which we know they are, because they're snatching everybody that out of their homes and giving them to someone else, and then you have, you know, high incidence of abuse in
Yes,
those homes.
in those foster
okay,
homes.
now you have a bigger problem than you had when you took the child from the home.
Absolutely.
You know, because they may not have been abused at the home they were in. There might have been something else that could have been handled with family therapy.
That's right.
You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? Or it could. What I'm saying is, generally, you're finding that you're creating more problems
Right.
by removing the child from its family
Right.
than you are solving by
Solving the
putting them
problem.
into another home,
Right.
okay, who don't know them.
They don't know
know their
them.
temperament.
Nope.
They don't know about them medically. They may not even know about them physically.
That's correct.
You know,
That's correct.
I mean, you don't know if they have special needs and stuff
Right,
like
right.
that. And even if they do, there's a lot more than, okay, so as a nurse, all right, one of the things that I did going into a home, okay, when I had to take care of a baby, I always had apprehension on my first day.
Right.
Why? Because I didn't know nothing about this child.
Don't know nothing.
I didn't know anything about this
Right.
child. You know what I'm saying? I knew a little bit about their medical background, whatever was in the chart. You know, but that's not enough to know about that child for me to be left alone
Right.
12 hours.
Right.
Because you know what? Maybe this child has a special regimen and the family does something specific with them to
Right.
get them to calm down
Right,
so that
right.
they don't have seizures.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But if I'm never told what I need to do to help this child acclimate themselves to
Right.
me and
Right.
being in my presence,
Right.
then I'm always going to have a hard time.
That's right.
You know, children going into foster care, parents aren't given an opportunity to say to the caseworker, and half the time the caseworker don't want to hear it because they're too
Right.
busy having an attitude
Right.
about the fact that you're trying to explain, you know, your circumstance. You're trying to work through your situation so you could bring your baby back home, but you're being met with disdain and anger
Yes.
as if you're guilty
Already.
before proven guilty.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
And the child is technically suffering twice.
We're
You know,
victimi-
that-
not just being victimized by whatever was going on in the house, the
But
abuse,
they're being
but now you're
victimized by the
victimizing
system.
them even more by placing them in a one, like you said, in a home that is not conducive to them. The people don't look like them. Then they don't know much about the child, and if they do know much, they don't really care. I'm just a place for them to lay their head. Once they lay their head and they find where they want to send them, then they're on their way because they don't stay long.
And it's 30 days and I'm
supposedly.
getting a check.
Exactly.
For many
That's right.
many people.
That's right.
It's
'Cause
30
I've
days
met
and I'm getting a
children,
check.
When I worked in the school district, and I won't mention the school district, I won't do it like that, but I worked in the school district where I met many young people that were in foster care. And the amount of young people that I've met in the school system that were in foster care was ridiculous. But I understand why. The stories will tell. But the stories that they had and they shared with me, I'm a mandated reporter. I'm like, look, you be careful what you tell me, because I'm a mandated reporter. I gotta
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
And I had several students tell me things where I had to report because why you living like that? You coming to school smell like pee because you pee-peed on yourself because you don't want to be raped when you go home. Who does that? Like, what? Are you serious? Is you telling me that? I'm sorry, but I have to tell.
But see, the vicious cycle of they're telling you because they want help.
They want help.
You're a mandated reporter, so you go tell the people who say we're set up to help the kids.
Right, right.
You go tell them. Now they go take the child and they put them somewhere else.
Right.
And then they might be getting raped over there too.
Or
Or they may not just may not be accepted
It's a
and all like
cycle.
that.
It's a
And then
cycle of
yeah, and so they keep moving them from house to house
And
to
that
house to
abuse just
house.
keeps
You know, they don't do well moving from house to house because the situation that initially put them into foster care,
Right.
okay, never got addressed.
Never.
You know why? There's the revolving door of people who work in the welfare system,
Right.
okay, in social services,
Right.
just keeps moving.
It-
People don't stay long.
They don't stay long because they
And-
don't want that. They don't
yeah.
want that. They don't want to be. They don't want to. They don't want to deal with that. Some people don't
It's
want to
very
deal with
difficult.
because it's it is difficult. They don't want to deal with it because it's because it's hard on them.
It's emotionally
Right.
draining.
They wear their heart on
Yes.
their sleeve. They don't want to
Yes.
deal with it because maybe it's not enough money, or they don't want to deal with it because I just don't want to deal with it. This is not mine.
It's too
Or,
much.
or there's a feeling of helplessness.
And they're helpless. They're not.
I would, there's a feeling of helplessness
right.
because it's sort of like, okay, I've done all I can do. And sometimes, because there are some people that say, okay, listen, my job was to get them out of the place that they was complaining about
Right.
and put them somewhere else.
Right.
Now, until I find out that there's a problem over there,
Right.
And something more than the child won't sleep or the child won't eat or won't
Right.
cry.
Right.
Because, see, those are considered situations that are minor. Oh,
Right.
they'll get over it.
It's not minor. Not
They'll
at
get
all.
over it.
Nah,
No,
it's
someone,
not minor.
that
Something's
child's
wrong.
mental health
Right.
is a problem. And
That's
this
right.
is why many of them that come out of the foster care system are coming out angry.
Yes.
And they're coming out, showing out in society. And they're turning to a life of crime because they're feeling like, they have all this pent up anger.
Yes.
Nobody listened to me.
Yes.
Nobody
Nobody
helped
heard
me.
me.
I'm out here on my own.
Right.
You know, I'm out here on my own, and that's how they're living. They're living as if they're out here on their own.
I want to address a young girl that I just came into contact with. I want to get it out there.
No names.
No names at all. We will not use anyone's names. But I want to put it out there because she was being abused. She was adopted and she was being abused. And they wanted to send her back to the home where the abuse was happening. And
I don't understand.
And I told them I'm not going to do it. I won't help you. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to help you send a child back to a place where the abuse is happening. And I
knew that the abuse was
I
happening.
knew it was because I've been knowing this child for over a year, and I've been watching her, and I'm a victim of. I was a victim of abuse. I'm not a victim anymore, but I was a victim of abuse for many years, from the age of that I can remember which is 7 years old, all the way until I was 16 and had to leave my mother's home. Abuse happened in my life, even as an adult. But to get to the point, is that they were very concerned about the parent, the guardian.
Really?
Why are you so concerned about the guardian when the child is who you're supposed to be protecting? You're called Children and Youth. You're called Child Protective Services. We are supposed to be protecting the child, and you're protecting the adult. You're telling me that there's factors with the adult that we don't know. I don't care about the adult. All I care about is the kid.
An
And that she's
adult
safe.
is the one who's abusing
And
her.
the adult abused her. She has a torn ligament in her leg. So you tell me what's happening. She's got bruises on top of bruises. I'm sorry, but softball don't do bruises like that. I don't care what nobody says. I have 2 sons that play football and basketball. I'm sorry, I'm not going to agree
Right.
with you.
Right.
And that's really the reason why we're here, right? Is to talk about, because we need that to stop
Exactly.
on all ends,
Agreed.
on both ends.
Agreed.
Taking the children out of the home
I agree.
and not really knowing that there's abuse in the home, and then putting children back in a home when you know visibly there's a confusion going on.
Exactly.
And when you said training, absolutely.
Yes.
They need to be trained just like how you train the police officers, how you because they need more training as well, and they shouldn't even be involved the way they're involved when it comes to Child Protective Services, the way they are. But when I spoke to the gentleman yesterday, he wasn't in a uniform. He was a detective, and
Right.
that I loved. And he was trained in knowing what they're supposed to do because of his jargon.
Right.
But I said, sir, your jargon ain't helping me. It ain't giving me the
comfort.
satisfaction and the
The comfort.
comfort to know that you're not going to take this baby back to where she's being abused.
Right.
And that's where we had to get a connection. And I
Right.
said, you're not going to talk to me as if I don't know anything.
Right.
I got a bachelor's
Yeah.
degree. I'm almost finished a master's degree. You can't talk to me that way. I'm sorry. You're going to talk to me in a way that I can understand you and you can understand me. The understanding is the child says she's being abused, plain and simple.
Yeah, I
Period.
think you hit the nail on the head when you said training,
Training.
is
They
going to
need
be
it.
a big,
They
because
need
the
it.
truth of the matter is, again, you know, with the revolving door and people constantly in and out, in and out, in and out,
Yes.
and all like that, the ball gets dropped.
Right.
And this is the beginning of the cracks in the system,
Right.
where, you know, you'll have someone on a case for X amount of time, and now they left,
Right.
and someone new's picking up. And truth of the matter is, even though everything should be documented,
Right.
it's not.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
It's not.
So there's always something that's going to be left out or lost in translation.
That's correct.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
correct.
Even as a nurse, okay, when we're giving report to the next nurse that's coming on, you know, you give as much as you remember, but there's always that chance that there's one little detail which might make a
Absolutely.
big deal
Absolutely.
that you'll forget to tell that nurse.
As a clerical person in healthcare, you have to document. So I understand.
Yeah, you know, it's like,
I mean, I was medical too, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Clerical
I'm ju-
people, right?
I'm just saying, it's we have to have people who are trained in how to deal with children. We have to train people in cultural sensitivity.
Yes,
You know, and cultural awareness.
Gonna
Right.
deal with
Every
these children, you
child
gotta
is
know
not
the type of
different.
environment
You know
that
what I'm
they're
saying?
in.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, we have to train people how to be sensitive to each other.
Correct.
You know, because there's no reason why if I call or make a call on someone's behalf
Right.
and I'm met with attitude
Right.
because I'm making an inquiry of how to help somebody.
And
That's
you're going- and
that's
you-
an issue.
And you're annoyed because it's 5 o'clock.
Right,
You're
exactly.
ready to go home. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
that's
This
that's
is what
the caseworkers
unacceptable.
I knew about when I was a young kid, and because I had friends of my mother who were caseworkers, and they said, "Oh, you know, I'm not going to be able to make it. We have a child that we got to pick up. It's after 6 o'clock, but we got to go pick him up. We got to go check him out." I mean, like we do overtime.
But
Yeah.
this is why
We do overtime. We need those type of people that are willing to go overtime.
Exactly.
You know, I worked in the school system where I couldn't leave the school until the child was picked up.
Right.
They said we can't
Absolutely.
release the child until a parent comes. After a certain time, okay, now we call Child Protective Services. We call the police. They come and pick up the child, and the parent got to pick up the child from the police department.
Right.
but this is why
things
people
happen.
won't help
And that's why people. That's exactly why.
because they get
they're scared,
abused
and
in
they
trying
don't
to
wanna
help,
be abused, right?
and it's not.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
fair.
and
So-
and sadly though,
Yeah.
the ones who suffer
Are the children.
kids,
The children.
you know, are the
children.
kids. We could have went on for another 2-3 hours
Right.
with this conversation.
True,
you know,
true.
unfortunately, we only have an hour. You know, but I hope we were able to give you all in the cafe a little bit of insight, something to think about. You know, if you work in the social services system, one of the things I want to say to you is please don't take this conversation as us brow bashing you.
We're not.
You know,
We're not.
because
We
that's
want-
not what
we
we're
wanna help.
doing. We're advocating for those that are in the system who are stuck there because there are too many avenues to go down, and no matter which avenue they go down, they run into a brick wall.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they and when they get to that brick wall and they turn around and they face someone, it's sorry, Charlie, can't do nothing for you.
Right.
You know, but you are the difference. You make the difference.
Right.
You know, the system is not the computer. The system is the people who work in the
That's
system.
right. That's right.
And we have to learn to have some compassion. We know you're
Yes,
overworked. We
yes.
know the numbers are astronomical. We know there are a lot of problems. Times are hard, especially, you know, everybody's been shut in from COVID and they're losing their jobs, and that takes a toll.
Correct.
And you know, and now we are seeing rising numbers and incidences of abuse and neglect and all like that because of those circumstances that arose from COVID. But we cannot allow that to continue to be the excuse.
That's right.
Right.
Okay.
So helping one family at a time and helping them properly
Right.
is what's going to fix
So
the
if
system.
you are in the system, you work in the system, take care of our babies. And if it's not something that you want to do and you feel like it's not
Don't do it.
right for you, quit.
Don't do it. Don't
Get
do
out
it.
of it. And so we can
Yeah.
put somebody in the system that is going to care about our children. We want them to be okay. We understand that circumstances come. I lived up here in the Poconos where a lot of parents lost their lives. Children lost their parents because of driving to work every day, going from New York to Pennsylvania, getting in car accidents, and the parent dying and not having no one to take care of the children. These are things that happen. But so even though these things happen, we still got to look out for our babies.
And it's about community.
The community
It's
gotta
about
take
community.
A stand.
You know,
Take a stand
they're called community services for a reason.
for a reason,
You know,
not
and
to hurt.
and we have to take care of our community. Like we said, it takes a village. It takes a village
That's
to raise
right.
a child,
That's
not
right.
just one person.
That's right.
You know, and not just mom and dad. It takes a village.
That's right.
You know, let's take care of our village because when we're gone, that village is left to those kids.
Those kids are they're the
That's
ones
right.
that are
Those
coming
kids
up.
are left to those villages. So
That's
if
right.
we want it to be okay, we have to make it okay. We have to say goodnight. Thank you for joining us in the cafe again tonight. We love y'all. We'll see you.